Lisa Hubler is a certified hypnotherapist, meditation teacher, and the founder of Mind Matters Restorative Hypnotherapy with over 25 years of professional practice. Her method is a unique and powerful synthesis of the focused suggestion of hypnosis, the insight and calm of meditation, and the deep nervous system reset of restorative yoga. She works from the premise that your body is your subconscious mind and is a gateway to the primordial perfection within each one of us. In addition to being a dedicated decades-long practitioner of Vipassana mindfulness, Rinzai Zen, and Ashtanga yoga, her inherently calming voice and backgrounds in singing and literature bring an entrancing musicality and poetry to her words. Please enjoy my time with Lisa Hubler. Hey y'all, let's go there. Well, Lisa, it means a lot to me that you are willing to do this, and I have been super excited for this interview in particular. You've had a profound impact on me with your work, as well as people that I really care about. And I am just dying to know more about your story and how you came to be who you are. But before we get going on all of that, I typically like to explain how we know one another. And
Okay,
and so I met you through a friend, Joanna, who's also been on the podcast, who shared that she'd worked with you on our podcast,
that's right.
and you had a profound impact on her. And I said, "What are you doing, woman?" And she told me that she'd been working with you, and I asked for the introduction, and then we met and we've had 4 sessions now, and they've been very, very powerful. And I continue to do the meditations that you recorded for me.
Good.
Yeah. So I feel really grateful to have met you and to have the opportunity to work in this modality, which is very new to me.
It's interesting how people, even though it's called restorative hypnotherapy, people still call them meditations.
Yeah, I was wondering if I was calling it the right thing.
They call them meditations or they call them tapes too. Even young people say, I still listen to the tapes,
Oh, that's
even though they didn't grow up with tapes.
that's
But
so fun. Well,
yeah,
will you tell our audience a little bit what restorative hypnotherapy means?
well, relates to the restorative aspect of it, and specifically the restorative yoga posture that I use when I guide people. They're not just sitting up, they're not lying flat. The elevating the legs above the level of the heart is a specific restorative yoga posture. And restorative yoga is the yoga of deep relaxation to basically reset the nervous system and recalibrate back to a more normal baseline that's appropriate for what's happening in the present moment, as opposed to having our nervous system so full of stress and tension from the past that hasn't been discharged, that our baseline is too high. So it restores us back to an equilibrium, an
Yeah,
inner equilibrium, homeostasis, balance.
yeah. And it's worth mentioning that even though you and I have worked together over Zoom, you pay very close attention to the posture and the position and make sure that I'm being set up in the right way.
Hmm.
And that also makes a very significant difference from my perspective.
When I guided you into the posture and you felt it, that it was when I go, oh, that's right. You can feel it in your body.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like
When you
little
get it
adjustment.
right,
Yeah,
it's like you go, oh,
yeah,
this is good.
yeah. You make little tweaks and adjustments, and then you can finally see where you got it. It's
Uh-huh.
super.
A little higher there, a little lower there. And then
Yeah, it's super fascinating. And then what about hypnotherapy? If somebody is new to hypnotherapy, how do you describe your work to them?
Well, it isn't, I wouldn't call it what people tend to think of traditional hypnotherapy is, as more of a directing it to specific suggestions, um, like you will no longer do this, or you always do this, and kind of the reprogramming of your subconscious and changing your thoughts. And people often think of that as the I hear and I obey, right? You're going to put me in this trance and I'm going to tell you what to do. And now you'll always do it or not do it, right? And it's much more subtle and profound than that. It's actually really the way that I want to work with it, as opposed to just me imposing something into your subconscious, is helping to allow you to evoke it from yourself, to find it in yourself, the the answers, the healings, the shifts, the abilities, the resources to make the change that you're looking for when we come in. Even if we don't know, if we're just unhappy or full of stress and tension, it's still about change. But and we haven't really learned how to look deep enough. So we think what's going to help us change is outside of us. And so people come to me that, oh, Lisa will help me, but might turn it back to help you find it inside yourself because you're always the best expert on you. And you always know deep down what it is that you need, but you may not know that you know it, or you don't want to know that you know it, or you don't know how to get to it. So that's the help that I provide.
Yeah, it's almost like lifting a veil, if you will. It's very interesting. I'll share my story, and I know I've told you this before, but I came to you initially because I felt like my sweet cravings were out of control, and that I had a sugar addiction, and I was doing it to mask something. I knew enough about addiction and knew that to know that there was something I didn't want to feel. And so I just wanted to get to the root of that. And after our first session, it was super fascinating because I came out
I
of it.
remember.
Yeah, I came out of it, and my sweet husband had purchased a sandwich for me. And I looked down at it, and my first thought was, I do not want to eat that. And I remember thinking to myself, typically I would tell all these stories about it. Like I would be like, he doesn't get me, he doesn't understand me, we don't share the same values, he bought me something unhealthy, I care about health and wellness, he doesn't. I would make up all these stories. And then on top of it, I would eat the sandwich out of obligation to not make him feel bad. And then I would resent him for it. After your session, I came out, I looked at the sandwich and I said, I don't want to eat that. And I actually said it out loud. And my husband looked it back at me and goes, then don't eat it. And I thought to myself, okay, I'm not. So I made myself a piece of salmon and some vegetables, which was what I actually wanted to eat. And then I thought to myself, ooh, I have been craving this scone from this gluten-free bakery for like the better part of a month, and I've not let myself have it. And then the big unlocked happened, which was like, what, why am I denying myself pleasure? Like I want to go have this friggin' scone. And so I got in my car and I drove and I got myself a scone and a coffee in the middle of the afternoon, which I typically would never do. And I was like, why do I have all these strange rules for myself? So they began to peel back all these layers. What started as me, you know, trying to restrict myself, quite frankly. I was coming to you for help and trying to restrict myself, revealed to me that I was restricting and denying myself what I actually wanted. And it was like a massive unlock. And it was after the first session, like, I didn't even have to listen to it a second time. I did, but it was after that first session that I was like, "Wow, okay, that's how this stuff works."
It's not just about changing the outward behavior, the symptom, so to speak. It's really about creating more harmony at the deeper level inside yourself so that you can see more clearly, like which would be like taking the veil away, what's working and what isn't. And then because of the release of the tension from the emphasis on the deep relaxation, the restorative yoga posture, and the way that I guide, tension's kind of like a glue that keeps us locked into our patterns. So you release a lot of that tension, and then your mind is more expanded too. And it's just like, oh, it's so clear.
Yeah,
It's so clear what I'm doing. Or I don't need to do it this way, just like you were finding. Why am
yeah,
I putting all these imposing these? So you would think that I'm going to say, now you will never eat sugar again. And sugar tastes like dirt to you. Right. And it's just like nothing to do with what it's really about. Most things that people come in for is more, it's the symptom. It's not actually what's really underneath it. And in my experience of 25 years now, it's mostly that your nervous system's imbalanced. And so it's hard to find a comfortable balance between what you want, what you need, what's being presented to you. But you did find that more easily when you'd had the experience. The session itself is always the most intense because you've had that time to talk about what's going on, and then you go into that deep state and you sleep on it. You get the subconscious working too. But then, you continue using the recording because you're still processing, even though the session's over. It doesn't just stop when you open your eyes and get up. There's a whole inner shift that continues going on inside for a while. And that's why using the recordings in between sessions or afterwards still are so helpful and guiding you back to that state and letting go of the even just helping you let go of the daily tensions that build up,
Yeah.
as well as the older levels that we work with. So the unveiling, I think it is mostly about letting go and shedding those old layers. And then it's kind of like we're good to go. You knew what you needed to do. It didn't need me to tell you.
Yeah. You touched on something that I think is interesting. You talked about tension leaving the body. And one of the things that I observed in me is I was having trouble with frozen shoulder and I was having pain in my shoulder. And I started to get almost immediate relief. And I started to realize that what I was experiencing was emotional pain. And I started to feel a release of that. And you let me know, I think that sometimes people will have positive physical results from working with you.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, Joanna mentioned her blood work is amazing now. And so is that something you typically see, Lisa? And what makes that the case? Do you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah, that happens a lot. That happens so much so that after a few years, I started just like asking people about their physical things as well as whatever they were coming in for. I wanted to know about what physical problems they're having as well, if that wasn't directly what they were coming in for, like you're saying, sugar addiction. But I also have a frozen shoulder, and I'm not sleeping well, or my gut's bothering me, and so many things clear up that now I ask about it because it's amazing for people to really see how many things are changing, even when that wasn't even what specifically they came for, because it's all related. One of the most amazing stories really started to show up for me when I did that restorative yoga teacher training way back in 2003 in San Francisco at the Iyengar Center. And I learned that posture was a whole week of putting people in all these different relaxing postures with bolsters and pillows. And so then you lay there and close your eyes. And that's my favorite thing to do. So it's
Yeah.
all these different ways to do that and relax. But that one position, which Judith Lassiter, the teacher, called instant Maui, that's the position I put you in. As soon as you get in, you're like, oh, I'm on the beach of Maui with the Mai Tai. It feels like
Exactly.
instant Maui. It's also known as zero gravity. I go, this is the one. I'm going to just put all my clients in this from now on. Because I was doing well. I started in like 99, 2000, right around the turn of the century. And we had a big, cozy, lazy boy. We still have it. And I would, the chair would go back and people would just lay flat. But after I did that training, I go, I'm going to put them in this position. And my husband and I came back, and the car was loaded with yoga bolsters and pillows, and drove back to LA. And then instead of laying on the floor, I could create the same thing when they're laying in the big, comfy, lazy boy easy chair. We always call it the easy chair, where everything gets easier when you sit in the easy chair for a while. So this woman called me, and she was having a lot of test anxiety. She wanted to become a principal for LA Unified School District. But she had terrible test anxiety. You had to take 3 tests,
Mm.
comps they were called, as I remember. So I said, "Yeah, I can help you with test anxiety." And she came in, but she had all these other physical issues as well. She just started telling me about them. Like she'd had 2 previous back surgeries, and her back was still hurting.
Mm.
She'd been taking Ambien for 10 years. I don't know. I guess back then the doctor could prescribe Ambien for 10 years, but she was still waking up at night and finding her sleep difficult. She's having hot flashes. She was probably about 25 pounds overweight, about 50 years old. And she was taking care of her mother. So she had a lot on her plate besides, test anxiety, but that's what she was there for. So at the time I just, she told me all those things. And then when it was time to do the hypnosis and the deep relaxation, I got her into the chair, and I said, these yoga bolsters will help your back feel better, this posture, because it does that restorative yoga posture, zero gravity does release the low back. So rather than just lying flat. So oh, that feels good. And I put the big bolsters under her legs to elevate her lower legs above the level of the heart, which helps the heart to relax. The gut relaxes, the back, the low back's connected to the upper back, to the shoulders, the jaw. It's this one beautiful cascade of relaxation when you put the body in that posture. And then I guided her in, into some relaxation. Then most of the session was about, now she's calm and she can focus, and she walks into the exam room and her heart rate is steady and she's able to remember what she knows, and basic suggestions to um, help her be more comfortable taking her exam. And she was kind of out in the chair snoring a bit. And luckily, what's kind of unique about my work is that as deep as you go, it's fine. You don't have to like stay awake and hear all the suggestions. Thank God my first hypnosis teacher, she was so wise. She'd always say, don't worry if they fall asleep. Just let them go deep. So I knew that it's okay that she's snoring, that it's still having an impact. The subconscious is still hearing. But again, that's not what a lot of traditional hypnosis does. Oh, you fell asleep. You didn't hear all my pearls of wisdom. You missed it all. Subconscious is way more
Picking it up.
smart than that. So anyway, she came up from the set about 45 minutes. She goes, whoa, I usually can't lay still for that long. That was good. I feel good. I gave her a cassette. That's how long ago we were making cassettes in the beginning, the tapes. She called me about, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks later, and she said she wanted to make another set. She passed the comp, the first one. She passed it, and she wanted to make another appointment she wanted to do one for each one. And as we're making the appointment, she goes, "Oh, by the way, I sleep like a baby now." I said, "Really?" She goes, "Yeah, I just put your tape on and it's like I'm out." And she goes, "Even sometime once in a while," she goes, "I only took the Ambien only a couple of times." And then she also said, "My back's not hurting me anymore either." I go, "Wow." And then also so I asked her too, because she was also using an inhaler for stress-induced asthma. So I asked her, it just occurred to me, all these other things. I said, "Well, how about the inhaler? Are you still using that?" This must have been when she came back for the second session. I asked her about the inhaler because I remember her face. She goes like this, I don't even know where that thing is anymore. She forgot all about it. So clearly she didn't
Wow.
need it. I was like, so amazing. And over the course of the session, she said her hot flashes were diminishing. She was making healthier choices with her eating, more easy, not trying to force it, impose it like you were describing, like, I should eat this, but I really want to eat that. And she passed all her comps, became a principal, and chalked it all up to the sessions. And her body really healed, because that state of profound relaxation is healing. The body knows how to heal itself. It just can't do it when we're chronically stressed. So she was listening to the recording every night, these tapes, and falling asleep with it. And that's where I really saw how the body mind are, you can't separate them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so clear, right? They're not two different things. How can you have a mind without a body? Or body, it's a continuum: body, mind, spirit, soul, and it all those levels are being addressed. So I just do that more intentionally. That's
Yeah.
developed over the years to really understand how they're all working together, no matter what you come in for, whether it's test anxiety or sleeping, or you're eating too much sugar, or
Or so
all
you,
kinds of things, preparing for surgery. There's just the whole laundry list that you see on hypnosis websites. We do this and this and this. Why does it work on everything? Because it's at that basic root level where it's all connected.
yeah. Do you know what you're saying that is really profound to me, Lisa? And I was noticing, I'm going to back up. I was noticing as I was sending you the link for this Riverside for the podcast, I had never paid attention to the name of your business, A Mind Matters. And while I'd seen it before in your email and I'd seen it on your SoundCloud, for whatever reason in that moment, it hit me differently. And it's because there's so much content out there right now about don't trust your thoughts, they're just thoughts, the stories that we tell ourselves. It's important to be embodied. And all those things I think are true. But what you're saying, which I think is nuanced and important, which is it's connected. It's not about disconnecting one from the other. It's about the connection between the two and appreciating what one is doing to the other. Am I getting that right?
Mhm. Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
and I
They
think that
all influencing and reflecting each other.
yeah, yeah. So I think that that's interesting because right now I feel like there's a movement to kind of dismiss and discount the mind, even though there's a lot of focus on emotional wellness and mental health, but there's almost like a distrust of the mind, if you will. And so I think it's interesting that you are framing it this way. That no, the mind matters. A mind matters. It's just in connection with the rest of you and in alignment with the rest of you.
And mind, we tend to think of mind as thoughts, just as our brain activity. But actually, mind is in your whole being. There's consciousness and sentience in every cell of your body. Mind in Sanskrit has many words for mind. It's not just your thinking brain. The mind includes your emotions, the whole gestalt, if you will, of your being is your mind. It's all one thing. It's not just your thoughts. But we tend to reduce things a lot in our culture and bring it down to mind equals brain. But your mind is in your whole body.
That is also opening up something for me because I that just gave me the chills. Because there have been times in this last year where I feel like my body is moving in a direction and my thoughts don't understand it. But it is like it's got a I've always said it's like got a mind of its own.
Your body has a mind of its own. It does. We have three brains, but we're so centered on just the head brain with thoughts as mind. But we have a head brain, we have a heart brain, and we have a gut brain. And if we're not in, and if we're too much in the head brain, then we're leaving out 2/3 of our experience, of access of wisdom and understanding and intuition and guidance. No wonder we feel insecure if we don't know how to connect to our bodies. And the mind of the body, the subconscious mind. Candace Pert, wonderful molecular scientist who discovered endorphins and how the gut is lined with emotional receptors. She years ago I heard when I first heard the title of her book, it hit me so yes, your body is your subconscious mind. Your body is your subconscious mind. So that's mind in the whole body.
Yeah. And it'll reveal you sometimes through illness or weight loss or weight gain or through different things. I feel like sometimes your body will reveal you before you even know what's going on.
Yeah, the body's trying to get our attention all the time, but we're often not paying attention. The more you ignore it, the more whatever discomfort is going to continue to grow with whatever imbalance until finally it will knock you over to get your attention. It taps on your shoulder. Hello, just
Yeah.
keep going, forget about it. And the problem, I think a lot of people ignore their bodies though because their bodies are so full of pain and tension
Mm.
that it's uncomfortable to pay attention to the body. And I know a lot of meditation techniques are, where you're sitting up and feeling your body and you're breathing. But if a person is full of tension and they don't want to feel their body, that's why putting them in such a comfortable position that physiologically anybody can be in that position. A 90-year-old person with back pain, you put him in that posture of, oh, I can relax. Then as the body relaxes and lets go of so much of that tension, it's easier to pay attention to it, and then it's easier to hear its messages as opposed to trying to tune it out because it's so uncomfortable. And then also, which then kind of makes you not trust your body because you think it's just a source of pain.
You did that for me. So in that first session, it was about safety in my body. And
Hmm.
I never realized that I didn't feel particularly safe in my body. And so I wasn't trusting it, and I would avoid it in certain ways, either through exercise or, ironically, I would tell myself I was taking
Hmm.
care of it, that
Yeah.
I was actually using it to escape whatever it was that I was experiencing in it. But a big thing, a big unlock of that first session for me was feeling safe enough in my body long enough to actually listen to what it was telling me.
And it came through to you clearly later on after you got up
Yeah.
because you
It's the
can.
smallest thing, right? I mean, a sandwich. But but I realized, wow, I am denying myself in a lot of ways. and then resenting others for it when I'm just doing it to myself. It's my own experience.
Yeah. You-
And what makes me do that? So it was just really profound. Lisa, I want to talk about the sorts of people that you work with. So do you work with all age ranges?
I don't work with really young people, like small children. I have in the past some, depending on their maturity level, but now with the Zoom, I don't really, I think they need to be in person. So I don't work with really young children. I work with teenagers or um, they tend to love it almost across the board. They so need to get out of their heads. And they don't realize it, but they'll be, gotten to a point where they're so distressed. And when you do this work, we might have to do it over Zoom, but then when you lay down, you close your eyes and you cover your eyes and you're just hearing this, you're disconnecting from all of that, really going inside. And it just feels so good for them that they will go, wow, wow, I didn't even realize, one young woman said, I didn't realize I could feel this way without drugs. Or sometimes that felt so good. That was so cool. And I go, bet you didn't think you could have so much fun just being still and quiet for a while. Like, no, right? Because they're not still and quiet. They're constantly like putting all this in their heads. So teenagers mostly love it. And then all the way up to all ages, just that the very young ones that I'm not really trained for that. And also because I'm mostly doing it on Zoom now.
Yeah. One of my first thoughts after working with you was, wow, this is this could be profound for my kids, at 18 and 21. I could see them
Hmm.
really, really
As
benefit.
long as they're open to it. Sometimes, it's just they have to be open. So when they're that, always the parents usually will say to me, I've seen 3 generations of families. One person does it and like, oh, my kids need this. My mom needs this. My boss, my sister. Yeah. So whenever they say, can you work with my teenage daughter? I'd be happy to, but they need to call me or text me
Oh,
themselves.
I love that.
Yeah, to show that that's what they, and then I got to get a sense if it seems like a good thing. But in general, most teenagers are have gotten so much benefit from this work than the ones that I've worked with.
I love that. And you said you've been doing this for about 25 years. Is that right?
Yeah, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
It's been
Our
awesome.
time goes by fast. Over the 25 years, have you seen any trends or changes in terms of what people come to you for help with?
It's always been anxiety is underneath almost everything. Anxiety is the root of almost everything people come in for. So that hasn't changed, but I would say the intensity of it has is amped up.
Oh, interesting.
Because when I started, there wasn't even really, didn't have phones like this now. That didn't really come into ubiquity until 2012. So I've been doing it for 12 years. And then it just has been progressively over the year. And then with COVID, of course, and that really amped up a lot of people's anxiety as well. So yeah, it hasn't changed, but the intensity has changed.
Yeah, interesting. And what are some of your favorite stories without sharing, obviously, names or anything personal that you don't feel comfortable sharing? Do you have any favorite outcomes or favorite stories from people that you've worked with?
Let me see. There's so many. They're always almost always, I would say, very rewarding to see the changes in people's lives. I guess I could say what I just hear a lot is that maybe a specific story will come to me. But one thing I do hear a lot that is so rewarding to hear, it's so much easier to make the healthy choice, people will say. It's so much easier. They're not struggling. They're not trying, you can't live on willpower, right? Because willpower means you're swimming upstream against yourself in a way. You can't live on it. That's why the gyms are full in January, but in February they're empty because the willpower runs out unless you change how you feel on the inside, how you feel, and then therefore how you feel about making the change. It's so much easier to make the healthy choices. I love when people say that. It feels good to me. Oh, here's one that's about this too. This young woman came in for severe sugar addiction too. She worked at Universal Studios at the time. Our studio for 20, almost 20 years, we were right near Universal and Warner Brothers on Barham Boulevard, if you know that area. So she worked at Universal and it was around Easter time. And she said, there's this an example of how she obsesses about sugar. She said there's an Easter basket of chocolate eggs in the break room. And she was like, it drives me crazy all day long. I think, I want it, I don't, I want it, I don't know. And then she finally goes in there after the willpower runs, exhaust yourself with that. Willpower runs out. She goes in there and eats a bunch of them. Right. And she just is not in control of feeling like she's not in control of it. Even when she's not doing it, it's on her mind constantly, which reminds me of what one of my favorite authors, Oscar Wilde, would always say, I can resist anything but temptation.
That's a fantastic quote.
So anyway, she couldn't resist the temptation, but she wasted a lot of energy trying to. So she came in, she was a beautiful young woman, actually about 20, early 20s. She's wearing this huge baggy sweatshirt and baggy pants, but I could tell she wasn't a heavy person, but she was wearing all these heavy baggy clothes. And so we did did our first session, and she was out, just gone in the chair. So people say that a lot. I was gone. I was out. Sometimes I go, where was I? Like it's just, you can feel it's not ordinary sleep. And you can tell when someone's gone because their mouth is often open and then it starts moving.
Oh,
Like
wow.
the jaw is releasing. Because I've watched people for 20 years. They are my object of meditation. When I work with them, I keep my eye on them the whole time I'm guiding, watching their bodies respond, even though their mind is completely like the conscious thinking mind. It's completely, finally wants to just let go, right? But the jaw releasing, it's so profound. I think this is a major source of tension for so many people.
Yeah.
And I heard this yoga teacher once describe it, and it immediately rang true. Tension in the jaw, which is this whole area, the neck and the jaw, throat, is a way of keeping ourselves up here. We don't want to go down and feel our body, right? Nope, I'm not going to go there. You'll see people do that. They go, nope. You see them clench down. It's like,
Wow.
stay up here in my head where it's safe. All that unknown. Right. So anyway, her jaw was moving a lot. And that's how I know for years, no one ever noticed when their jaw moves. They might feel their body twitching and shaking, maybe not, but they never knew that. That's how I knew they were like gone. So she was gone. And then when she came up, she went home, that's the cool thing about the Zoom sessions. You don't have to get up. I don't have to bring you up because
Yeah.
she could have easily stayed there another hour.
Yeah.
To the Zoom sessions, you don't have to get up and drive home, but I had to bring her up. She was just a normal, oh, that was deep, okay. We talk a little bit, drive home safely. When she came back the next session, week or two later, she said, I had one piece of candy. One chocolate egg, and that was it. I wasn't even thinking about it anymore. It was just like it didn't even matter. I was just doing my work. And it wasn't like I said to her that you will no longer eat chocolate and chocolate tastes like mud and all those, corny kind of suggestions. And she was wearing like a pair of jeans and a sweater, a form-fitting sweater. Not super, but just you could see she had a nice figure, which is how a lot of people when they're uncomfortable with their bodies will wear heavy baggy clothes. So she was comfortable with her body. And she said that night she went home and she was so deep. She said she slept like she had never slept for like the hours and hours and hours. She's even late to work the next day. She was just so ready to let go of all of these inner layers of tension and stress that just build up in us through our whole lifetime. And she said it was no big deal. She had one piece and was like, it's okay. And she was just able to let it go. And that was really extraordinary.
Wow.
We went through the series of sessions. I mean, I don't know now where she is now, but I'm sure she's made a major shift in her life because what you let go of, you it's gone. You let it go. You'd have to live your whole life over again to build it up. So new things still happen. Stressful things can still happen. COVID could happen, and then she might be eating again, but she not understands now. But it will never be as intense as it used to be because that other older stuff has been released that we worked through in those earlier sessions. So that's not there anymore. that creates a tremendous amount of uncomfortable pressure that will come out in eating or drinking or smoking or drugs or shopping or gambling or whatever the person's issue is. Just for her, it was food and eating.
You're reminding me of something someone once said to me, and I don't know that I ever quite got it until you told me this story, which they said, "Whatever it is that's got a hold of you, it will let go of you once you let go of it."
Mm.
And when you feel like you're addicted to something, it can feel like it's got a grip on you. But there's a lot of agency in realizing, "No, I actually am gripping onto it."
Yeah, I just heard yesterday in a talk the talking about when we're attached to something is that even resistance, trying to push something away, you're still attached to it. Because if you're pushing on it, you're touching it,
Yeah,
right?
there's still
It's the
energy.
same. Yeah, you're so even I don't want it or oh, I don't want to let go or I don't want it, you're still attached to it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so it's you think it's holding on to you, but you're holding on to it. That's why to deeply, deeply relax your whole body, mind, spirit, soul is a profound letting go. Because we're like this inside. And then, oh, I'm safe. I can relax. I can let go. And then you can let go. And then and then it feels good. You realize it's okay to let go. And then it then she let go, and then the candy didn't have that kind of pull on her anymore.
yeah, it didn't even matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've helped so many people, Lisa. Man, what a gift to be able to do that. I'm so curious how you came into this work. How did you find restorative hypnotherapy? Or how did it find you?
Well, I created what I do is, my own method, restorative hypnotherapy, but it came out of, my background in yoga and meditation and then learning hypnotherapy. I think I've always been interested in the mind and really deep states of quieting and seeming to be asleep, but you're not. I remember even as a kid, my mom would be, Lisa, go to sleep. I'd be laying on the couch with my eyes closed. Go to bed. And I go, I'm not asleep. I just had this thing where I like to lay still and kind of pretend that I was asleep, but I'd be listening. And I always had tons of dreams. And I was reading Young Man and His Symbols in high school and loved that book. So this idea of this subconscious, this deeper world inside of us, has always been so appealing to me. And I got into yoga and meditation, and that was really helping me with my own issues with anxiety and depression that I um, just growing up and losing my dad very traumatically at 22. So there was a lot of stuff there. And at that time, there was no help with medications. I didn't get any counseling. My dad was just this huge beloved figure in our family, and he just like dropped dead like that of a heart attack. Very, very healthy person at
Lisa,
22.
I'm so sorry. I did not know
Thank
that.
you. Yeah, it was. I mean, that's where you early on you realize, oh, life is unpredictable, right? Your whole life changes like that. And there was no. My mom didn't know how to deal with her emotions. There was no help. There was no counseling. Nowadays, they would have probably given something, some medication, but we didn't have anything. So I remember at some point trying therapy, and I just felt like, well, this is nice, but I could talk to my friend for free. Just talking really didn't seem to help. You know, I didn't have to go all the way, drive over there and pay. And like, it didn't seem like it did much, just
Yeah.
talking. And then some point later, found my way into meditation and yoga, starting with yoga. And it was like, oh my gosh, I loved it so much. And Shavasana, the last pose, we get to lay still and close your eyes, but you're not like asleep, you know, like going back, you're not asleep, but you can kind of drift off and you feel like you're not there anymore. It's not just asleep. That
Yeah.
was my favorite pose. And then fortunately that teacher was just so also really understood meditation and the importance of that. So those things were really helping me with my own issues. I really felt like something was changed because they work with the whole body mind. Because yoga and meditation doesn't see the mind as just your brain. It's
Yeah.
your whole being. So that was helping me the most with my own feeling that there was really change in my life. but I still didn't know exactly what I was going to do as a career. I've been through a lot of things. There's more story, right? But my husband, well, we were together at the time. We weren't married. He had been in the restaurant industry for many years in LA, and his family had sold the restaurant after 16 years. And it's like looking around for something easier to do than restaurant work.
It's a hard
And
life.
it's really tough. He saw this show on 60 Minutes that was about using hypnosis for childbirth. And these stories, they interviewed these women that had these terribly painful births, and one of them couldn't even get out of bed for the longest time. And yet then they worked with hypnosis and they were able to have children again and without pain.
Hmm.
And hypnobirthing's been around for ages. I remember a woman telling me that, oh, I had my babies with hypnobirthing in the 50s.
Wow.
So hypnosis actually as a modality in medical has been around a long time before the primacy of pharmaceuticals the way it is now. It's just everything, just throw a drug at it. Don't
Yeah.
have to work with it at any deeper level so much anymore. So doctors used to know about those things. So this is actually a doctor that was using hypnosis. So he thought, oh, I want to learn about that. That looks so fascinating. So he found this school, a couple ones in LA, and there's one he particularly liked, and said, "Do you want to come with me?" The first meeting, the woman Juanita Holmes was she said, "You can audit." I said, "Sure, that sounds interesting." And I don't know anything about hypnosis, nothing. So I went with him, and it was so fascinating. And I remember she was talking about, how to use the mind and how you focus, where your attention goes, your energy flows, the thoughts that you think, the kinds of words that you use. And I had been an English major. I love words and language. So the understanding of how to use language in a specific way. Oh, it was so fascinating. I loved it. And then the best part was she said, okay, now we're going to experience trance. I'm going to guide you all into a trance. And I remember like, oh my gosh, like what's going to happen? Am I going to levitate? Am I going to float or what's going to, and so we're just sitting in chairs too. So close your eyes. Okay, I close my eyes and, take some deep breaths. And then she did a standard kind of, relax your face, your shoulders, or maybe it was the feet up or head down. Don't remember and then visualize you're going down a flight of stairs. Go down each step, you go deeper, 10, deeper, 9, deep. Classic hypnosis stuff. And then it's something about you get to the bottom of the stairs and there's a door and you open the door and you're in a beautiful garden and there's something or someone there that helps you with the answers. It was a lot of visualization. I don't remember, what was so long ago. It was like over 25 years ago now. I don't remember exactly what I saw in the garden or that wasn't the most important point. The most important thing was actually when she brought us back up again, my first thought was, this is what it feels like when I meditate.
Mm.
This is what it feels like in Shavasana.
Yeah.
Except it was more talky. Which I like less talking. There was a lot of talking she was guiding, or a lot of visualization.
Yeah.
A lot of visualization, which kind of keeps your mind busy. You're trying to imagine all this stuff.
Mm.
But that was really the click. Like it's the same state. It's the same state. It was just a different way to get there.
Yeah.
And what the hypnosis had was is more in general, it's more goal oriented, right? You want to stop eating sugar or lose weight or calm down or sleep better or heal your body. But it's very specifically directed, whereas meditation, again, very general. And now the lines are more blurred than ever. You're doing it for its own sake or to explore what happens when you're able to focus your mind and explore your inner world, your relationship to yourself and world.
Mm.
And wasn't quite so much goal, like you don't meditate to get confident, right? Though now there are all kinds of, so much guided meditation now is completely lifted from hypnotherapy. Meditation for confidence, because meditation is more acceptable word these days, right? Than hypnosis. Oh,
Yeah.
you're going to make me cluck like a chicken. You always hear those stupid
Yeah.
things. Oh, they're going to tell you what to do. force you what to do. But I saw it was the same state. That was the thing. So I thought I'm going to combine them, just put them together. As I kept learning, eventually I combined the yoga postures with that and the meditative techniques, which I like them better in some ways. I never do that. As you know, the sessions I didn't have you visualizing any staircases, and there actually isn't a lot of visualization. There can be some, but it's more about taking you deep into yourself through your body. And then all of those things kind of come up spontaneously with a lot of people have spontaneous imagery that's really powerful when they're able to just drop into a deeper place of their subconscious mind, out of the thinking mind. Like, here's a little story I just remembered too. This one woman came to me at a terrible fear of spiders. Terrible fear of spiders. I was guiding her through the session, the feeling safe in your body, which I do as the first session for almost everyone, because that's the one that shifts so many things. And she said, at one point, you said something that, I am one with the universe. And she said, and I felt like I was out in space. And then I heard this voice in my head saying, there is room in the universe for me and spiders.
That's
So it just came
amazing.
to her.
That's amazing.
I know. And when it comes to you, that's exactly what you need more than, what anything I could have made up. I wouldn't know that that was what, but she had a dramatic reduction in her reaction to, she didn't love them, but she didn't like melt down if there's a little spider in her bathtub.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So you do a lot, as you know, those processes that take you deep into the body and then give suggestions that are helpful, that are more specific, and being able to use language. And that's, I think, did I answer the question? It was kind of
So
long,
your
roundabout. So I brought them all together, the hypnosis, the meditation, and
yeah.
the using the language more specifically, but still using more meditative yogic techniques to get to that state, which I like better than the more classic hypnotic inductions.
Yeah. So it sounds like you were already starting to establish your own practice, and then your husband introduced you to this modality out of his own curiosity. Your then boyfriend, now husband. And then did you guys embark upon doing this work together? What happened then?
Yeah, we both signed up that night. I go, I'm signing up. He goes, okay, we're signing up.
That's
And we
cool.
both, and then that's when we loved it. And it was definitely easier than restaurant where he had a restaurant and a jazz club upstairs. It was so fun, but it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
So we both became certified hypnotherapists. And then we opened our own business very quickly. And he had a vision. He's very good at manifesting things. I want to have a place near the studios. So we got the place on Barham near Warner Brothers and Universal, like I said, and Disney. And we had our own place and we just started doing, and I knew from the beginning, this is what I'm good at. I had actually trained as an opera singer. There's another aspect, my voice. I was
Oh,
trained as an opera singer when I was in my teens and early 20s. My mom was an opera singer. My dad was a conductor. So that was the first music I grew up with, and I love it. I still love it. And I wanted to be a dramatic soprano and sing, Puccini and Verdi heroines. But I just didn't have quite the right vocal cords to sing dramatic soprano operatic roles. I could have been good in musical comedy or lighter things, but I just didn't want to do it if I couldn't do it the most dramatic way. So I stopped my voice lessons, but it came around later because my voice, people always would say, oh, your voice is so calming. Your voice is so soothing. Sometimes people say, you're like an angel. Your voice is like an angel. So I think it was something to do with that vocal trainings and also loving words when I was a literature major. So those also combine because you're using your voice to give the words. And then the yogic posture and the meditative techniques of the breathing and some visualizations and being aware, very aware of how your words are having an impact on the whole being of a person. So all those backgrounds came together and I just knew this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so it just took off right from the beginning. It was we were doing great. We had a lot of clients. That's when we advertised in the LA Weekly. I don't know if anyone that was when you
Yeah.
did print advertising. Now it would all be.
I'm dying to know who your clients were. I know you can't probably share it,
Oh,
but
we
I'm
had some big clients. Of course, I can't say who they are, but we had some very big clients, and everyone loved it. And it's just like one person does it. There was the secret, the not the administrative assistant or secretary,
Mhm.
whatever you call it now. She told her boss about it, who was a big head at Universal, and she came and did sessions, and it just would spread. One time, a whole bunch of people from HBO came. One person came to quit smoking. She goes, if I quit smoking, everyone's going to, of course, she quit smoking. Dale was really the stop smoking specialist. We had a whole
Wow.
stream of people from HBO came through for all kinds of things. So it was fun. And then just all, regular people, but they're all the same in the sense we all have pain. We all have trauma that we're still holding on to, and it's in our bodies. And we just need to go deeper than most of the things are now. Most things, they either keep it separate, like you just talk in therapy, but your body's just sitting there holding all of its patterns, or you go and you do somatic work and body working, but you haven't connected to what's also the mind at the same time. You can be getting a massage and laying there thinking about this or that. And then also to just to go really deep, to like not be afraid to lose the conscious awareness. That's what was so profound that Juanita said, don't worry if they fall asleep. I don't think she really understood where they were going, but she just knew that you just got to really let them go deep and things miraculously change. But so much, even a lot of the somatic work now, many people come and they say they're doing the somatic work, but it's still you're still, your conscious mind is involved a lot.
Yeah.
And I think you want to go beyond that. You want to really go deep toward your source, and you kind of need to let go of that part that's sort of trying to control it, or thinking what it should be or shouldn't be, and trying to control the experience.
Yeah. You know, you are making me realize I went on this deep healing journey that I told you about, where I sought out all different modalities. And I was also seeking out, things for the mind, emotional, things for the body, and things on the spiritual side. And what I didn't realize is that your work, up until this moment, your work really integrates all of them.
I try to, yeah, it's all
How does
one.
Yeah, it's all one. How does it make you feel when I say that your work is spiritual?
Yeah, I know that it is, without being religious. And I don't even have to tell people it's just a spiritual practice, because some people don't want that. But it just naturally feels that way when you're able to get quiet inside, and this really helps people quiet their minds. When you relax really deeply, the mind brain activity quiets down too, and then it's just sort of a natural spiritual feeling to be still and quiet. Be still and know that I am God. Is be still, be quiet, settle down. And that's also too, because that's one thing I don't see people on. I mean, I've watched them for 20 years, so I don't need to see them on the camera now. Like when I do Zoom work, I have them turn the camera off. I don't think people. I can't see them in the same way anyway as I could if we're in person. And I think people feel more comfortable relaxing without a camera on them, laying on their bed. But for 20 years, I would see when I bring them up, it's time to come, gently start to open your eyes, and take the eye pillow off, and slowly come back. And many times they wouldn't talk, and they often do this sort of spontaneously. And they were just looking up at the ceiling, very ordinary ceiling, and their kind of eyes would slowly. They had never just experienced the pure quietness of their own being, and and your that's what you see through. However your being is your how you see the world. So they could just look at the ceiling and be still and quiet. Or a lot of times they'd just be laying like this. Not that they were praying, it just felt like a natural way to put their hands. And sometimes we wouldn't even talk for a while. And it was just, they were really enjoying being, I don't even know if they were enjoying it so much as just in awe almost of that they were experiencing a different quality that maybe they didn't even remember since childhood. I remember one man said to me, he goes, after a little while, he said, "My mind is quiet." He goes, "Is that okay?" He goes, "I'm not thinking." And he's like he's trying to listen into his head. He goes, "I'm not thinking. Is that okay?" I said, "Yeah, that's." And he was sort of amazed that he could experience himself without thoughts. I think that's what it is. They're experiencing just looking at around the room without their mind going, okay, that's a wall and that's that, and I like that and I don't like that, and all of that stream of commentary that goes on. It's
Yeah.
just was quiet. And that's really very healing too. So that's what it is spiritual, but you just, because it naturally is without having to say we're going to do any specific spiritual ritual or use crystals or candles. Oh, those are all nice things, but that isn't real, the true spirituality. It's just when you're able to connect to that deeper side of yourself beyond your thinking mind, beyond the thinking mind.
You said something very profound that I think is worth repeating what you said, and hopefully I'll get it right. Your way of being is how you see the world. And I think, in all of my work, one of the things I've learned is that we are constantly projecting onto one another. But thinking about it in terms of your way of being, your essence, your energy is what you project onto the world, how you see the world. That makes this work all the more important because you want that to be as pure as possible and as clear as possible from my perspective.
Yeah, clear. Yeah, you realize you have these filters.
Right. You don't want to see the world the wrong way because there's a ton of noise or you're distracted or exhausted or overstimulated.
Hmm.
You know, you want to be as clear as you can and see the world for what it really is.
Well, what it really is that's another story. But at least, and you're perceiving it more directly, which is the goal of classical meditation like Vipassana and Zen, and just to see it directly without the filter of all your concepts about it and your thoughts and opinions and all of the programming that we've in conditioning that we've grown up with that makes us see it that way.
Yeah.
That's part of when you said from the very beginning, like taking a veil away, the veil of thinking and having a direct perception. And it's so much more rewarding and rich. That's why you could just look at a tree and just, that's why people like to take drugs, because it stops all the and they can just like slow down and just look at the autumn leaves
Yeah.
and just appreciating them without all of the well, that's a pine tree or that's a deciduous and that's a, oh, those, just having that direct experience.
Yeah.
That's more of the reality. The thoughts are just your thoughts about it.
Yeah. Interesting in terms of the programming and the societal constructs and all the things that inform it as well. I think that's really important too, because those start to tend to chip away at who we really are too, I bet. Okay. So, Lisa, given the work that you do, which is so profound, what's your wish for the world right now or for your work? What are you hoping for?
Well, I'm hoping that people wake up out of the consciousness of us and them and all the ideas about other people, and connect to the deeper reality that we are really all one. And I know that this helps people to see that more. So, but the world is going to do what it's going to do. And so I don't know if I have that much, if I think so much. I just sort of observing what's happening and doing my small part and just let what's going to be.
Yeah. Well, you summed up what this podcast is about.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. This
Let's go
podcast,
there.
yeah, this podcast really has turned into, I don't know if you're familiar with the Ubuntu philosophy, but it's really turned into showing people that we're all connected. And I am because you are. And
Yeah.
humanity and compassion, it means all those things in one word, which is a really powerful word and a
Yes.
powerful philosophy. But it's exactly what you're saying. It's the antithesis of us versus them.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I looked that up when you first wrote to me. I thought, Ubuntu, that's interesting. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That all, so many, maybe all of the spiritual traditions, or it's a deep wisdom truth. The belief that we're separate is the source of our suffering.
Yeah.
And then when we suffer, when we're hurting, when we're in pain, that saying, hurt people hurt other people.
Mhm.
And it goes all the way back to just, ignorance.
Yeah.
That's what the Buddha said, is the ignorance of the truth of who we are, that it's really is all one. But we don't see that. And so we fight and think that we can, it's just all the I, me, mine.
Yeah.
and and not realizing that we hurt other people and hurt the world, we're hurting ourselves. We're one big organism, like the body. When like the body going at war with itself is an autoimmune thing. We're sort of a autoimmune planet that we're having right now.
Yeah. It's like an autoimmune reaction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they're thinking that we're going to destroy that destroying other people and other countries and other things is going to help us feel safer.
Yeah.
It's such insanity.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
And that's
Um,
when people really, Eckhart Tolle talks a lot about this, and I really appreciate his point of view. The more that you're in your head with concepts about things, the less you are connected to the truth of just real compassion and empathy for other people. And that's how people can do the most terrible things, because it's all justified in their mind. They're completely dominated by their thinking mind. But their heart mind and gut mind, they're it's just all cut off.
yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I work with a lot of people in business, Lisa, and this actually I've noticed has been coming up a lot. And a lot of times when people are undermining themselves in work, it's because they're not listening to their heart and gut,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not connected to themselves. And it's disconnecting them from others, and it begins to undermine them in the workplace. So it's funny, I see it
Mm.
play out in business too.
Yeah. It,
I see this in work and in life. I mean, it's all living, but I see it consistently throughout. Well, okay. So if someone would like to work with you, Lisa, because I think we need more people working with you in this world. Um, if somebody would like to work with you, what's the best way that they can find you?
we have our website, amindmatters.com. I'm
Okay.
sure you have some show notes or something that
Yeah.
you can put that in, and just call that number that's on there, and then we just find a time to talk and see if it feels like a good fit.
Okay.
It's not very high tech. I don't have a Calendly thing. And it's just, give me a call, tell me when I can call you back. And
Totally. Totally.
yeah.
Well, I think you're wonderful. I am so grateful that you were willing to come on the show and share what you do and share stories and your bright light and you're funny as hell. I'm just so happy that you came on,
Oh, thank you,
Linda.
Carla.
Yeah, and I hope that people realize that this is a real asset, connection to self, not just your brain, but connection to your heart, connection to your gut. integration of everything.
Mhm.
It's so
All one.
all one. It's
I always say Dr. Bronner even knows the truth. It's all one.
I don't know if I told you. I
It's
think
everywhere.
I didn't read that bottle. I've been using Dr. Bronner forever, and I didn't actually read the bottle until I went through my own spiritual thing, and I was like, "Oh my God." I had no idea what it said on it, which is so funny. But shout
The
out to
wisdom is everywhere, even on a soap bottle.
shout
You
out to
can
them.
only notice it.
Yeah, so funny. Well, Lisa, I look forward to continuing to work with you as well as sending people your way. And thank you again for taking the time.
Thank you, Carla. It's a real pleasure.
Yeah,
A real pleasure to talk with you.
likewise. It was fun. Thank y'all for listening today. If you're so inclined, please follow, subscribe, download, share, all of the things so that we can keep going. We appreciate your support so much. If you're interested in learning more, go to thecoeffect.co.